one of the ways that I deal with some of this stuff, and I just kind of love your thoughts, positive or negative, wherever they are, and so the struggle is real, right? And it's not just the CEO. These aren't just CEO founder issues, as you pointed out. This is life, right? And oftentimes when I feel overwhelmed, and especially if I'm kind of on the lower end of the depression curve that day, I will lie in bed, usually before my alarm goes off, staring at the ceiling, wishing to God that my bed would just open up and swallow me whole. And the last thing in the world I want to do is face the world. But I don't have a choice. Or I should say that differently. I should say that choice is not an option for me.
Because you've made a different choice.
Because I made a different choice.
And that choice is to not consider that as an option.
And my choice, and it's a conscious choice, is to not consider that as an option. Yet I'm still left with a struggle of how do I transition from that emotional place to a place where I can function. And not just function, but function successfully. And one of the phrases that I use, and I've shared with others, and I don't know where I've heard this, and I heard this somewhere. This is not my phrase. It might have even been a greeting card. God knows where the hell I heard it. But it obviously rang very true to me, and I say it very often, and I share it with people, is that I lie there in that state, and I say to myself, I'm not scared. I'm not afraid. I'm a fucking animal, and I will eat you if I have to. And that gets me going. And thank you.
By the
I
way,
appreciate that.
David and I train at a boxing gym in Boulder, and I will attest he is an animal, and he will eat you.
And I need those internal stories. And there's another one that I say often in the gym, but also with life, is that you're never out of the fight. And I heard, I believe it was a Navy SEAL or someone say that one time, and it hit me as could not be more real. You know, and granted, I'm not facing down someone with a gun or an explosive trying to kill me.
It just feels like that.
It just feels like it, but you're never out of the fight.
Right.
So what are some thoughts or phrases, like I've heard you talk a lot about facing your demons and eat me if you will,
Yeah.
right? And I thought maybe you could talk briefly about that thought, or just accepting that this is how it is, and how do I work with phrases or exercises to get me to a better place?
There's something powerful about not being out of the fight for you. And mindful of the time, we won't go into a deeper coaching session, but thank God. But I have a feeling that not being out of the fight connects to something very, very deep inside of you. Very, very important. When I started speaking with Tariq, I was going to ask him about purpose. Purpose is incredibly powerful. It creates a deep resource inside of us. And I have found it really helpful in those moments of crisis to connect back to purpose. Now, if you use the phrase never out of the fight or I'm an animal to remember why you're doing what you're doing, it's really helpful. So when I work with an organization that's in flux or in conflict or in turmoil, almost the first thing we have to do is remind them why they're there in the first place. Because that oftentimes is the thing that gets forgotten. And that's the truest source of strength, is purpose. 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 Purpose.